Um, but yeah, I'm also currently playing my soft boy playlist. It's literally just called that because I wanted to be silly goofy. It's not actual soft boy vibes for the most part. A lot of them are just like softer songs. So I felt that that was a bit more fitting than my usual playlist. So anyway, let's get into it. Um, I was almost immediately met with, oh yeah, yeah, that guy, the grizzly bear. I was originally down there. Whoa. Anyway, I was originally spawned in down there, but I kept hearing the grizzly bear doing that, growling, and I got scared. Mini melon? That's so delightful. See, I read enough to be excited by this, but I have no idea what we're about to be met with. I also see that off in the distance, so I think I'm gonna go up there. Um, I'm also a little interested. Okay, calm down. I'm a little interested in the. Gosh, there's so many cute flowers. In the fact that it's like winter at the moment. Like it's all frozen over and there's snow everywhere. It's definitely interesting. Ooh. What's this guy doing here? Can I pick these up? Oh, I can. Oh my gosh, I can make like a clover lawn. You know those clover lawns on TikTok that they make? Ooh. Ooh, okay. Okay, we're getting some baked potatoes and regular potatoes. All that good shit. Whoa. I don't like that he was coming toward me. Oh my gosh, it's a crow. Wait. Pathfinder's Quill. Pathfinder's Quill. Can be used to find the biome inscribed in it. Trade for it from cartographers or wandering traders. I don't know enough about the biomes to really want that currently, though. Huh? I want to check out this, like, outpost situation up here. Follow for follow? I do not do follow for follows. Sorry. Okay. Let's pop up here. This isn't gonna be bad, right? I'm not gonna die immediately because of this. Whoa, how did I miss that? There's like a whole statue over there. We're probably gonna get a little bit of lag when as we first start loading in chunks, but it shouldn't be horrible to begin with, just because I started loading in chunks immediately. Um, while I was getting things ready. It's a bit loud. That would be why. Okay, that should be better. Yeah. So, admittedly, I don't really know what I plan on doing as far as a house goes. Um, obviously, gotta be, a cottage. Whoa. Whoa. Raccoon grape. Oh, and you stick to it. What? This is funky. What's this one? Oh, it's mature raccoon grape. Okay. This is really cool. Oh my gosh, look at these clovers. Clover flowers? Oh. Okay. Anyway, questionable rations. It's a little sus. Oh, there's some iron. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's that? Tan turkey tail. Oh, it's a flower? They look like mushrooms. Are they mushrooms? Is there a way to get in here? Oh, no, you go up. Okay. It's broken off a little bit. Let's check this out. See what's up here. Ooh, okay, we got some wood. Cabbage seeds from Farmer's Delight. Pumpkin seed. That's really cool. I like that. Oh, it's supposed to be like a sleeping bag. I love that. Oh my gosh. Different colors. I could have used the crafting table over there, but knowing me, I'm gonna need more than just that. Look at that. Look at when I put shit. See up there? You can see the block floating. I'm losing my mind right now. Oh my gosh, look at, you can see the pickaxe floating. Oh my god, I'm freaking out. Okay, yeah, we're gonna take the chest. We're gonna take the crafting tables, plural. Just because I want to be prepared. I'm more than likely gonna place down one of these. Let's get to work. Anyway, I'm probably gonna place down one of these at some point and then completely forget about it, so. I also I want to get enough from here so I can make a proper pickaxe out of stone. There we go. I feel so accomplished that it does that. Okay. Shit. Sent a postcard to you, dear, 'cause I wish you were here. Yeah, I think I want to stay away from that biome because it's all very dead over there. But we'll continue going in this direction, see what we find. I feel like I don't need the rest of these hay bales, so I'll leave them. Oh, right. I wanted to check out that statue. I don't know if anything's gonna come of it, but I kind of want to just... Fancy dress iris. Okay. Cranberries. Ooh. Okay. Gosh. These are so fucking cute. If I gave in to my whim, I would immediately be picking up as many of these flowers as I could. God. I'm losing my mind right now. Oh, look at that. A little well. Alright, we're gonna break into this statue and see if there's anything. I have a feeling there is not, but that's cool. I just want to check. You know? I dug right through his crotch. Yeah, I have a feeling there's nothing in there, which is totally fine. I'm chill with that. Yeah, let's keep going this direction. Up here. I think we're supposed to have, yeah, we got a map. Let me go into options. Yeah, let's enable our mini-map. There we go. Oh! Solo house. Oh, wait! Whoa! Okay! This is cool. How do I get in here? Literally the opposite direction that I went in. That looks so fucking cool. I'm gonna take this bed because it's very cute. If I find a what's the word? If I find... Are those crystals? Oh. Fuck, what's the word? If I find a cyan bed, that's the word. If I find a cyan bed, I'll nab that. Because that's, you know, supreme bed in my opinion. But for now, I'm okay with what we got. Muskeg. Oh. What about this? Ah! What do you do with these? Use. Grows alongside the respective corundum, either naturally spawned or when left to grow. Can redirect beacon beams. Check the beacon item for info. I will check the beacon item for info. The beacon beam can be redirected with the corundum by placing it in the beam's path. Note that the final one must always face towards the sky, and that the beam has a limited horizontal distance it can cover. I don't think I need these then. Oh, they're so pretty. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is absolutely magical. I'm freaking out. This entire, like, first session is just gonna be me losing my gourd over these fucking things. I'm gonna be like, guys, look at this! And you're like, yeah, I can see it. It's okay. Calm down. I also don't know what Muskeg is. Is it the cave, or is it this general area? Because it didn't trigger... Indigo. Oh! Anyway. I have to keep going. I can't just keep staring at the crystals. It's gotta be the biome then, because it just changed in the top right corner from tundra, or from Muskeg to tundra. I'm thinking this through because I wanted to name the area Muskeg on the map. But that'd be kind of silly goofy if that's just the biome and not the place. See, it doesn't trigger over here. But it triggered once I went into the cave. Always comes at the worst time. We have to traverse our way down. See, there's even more. Like, all over the place. Oh! More of the indigo. I'm trying to think of a way that I could use that somehow in the future, because that'd be really fucking cool. That scared me. Ooh. What is that? Forestry bench? What does this do? Do I have to click it with a... No. Forestry bench uses. Oh, it gives you a forester. Okay. Oh, holy shit, that's a lot of babies. 3 whole babies just running around. Damn. This time I got... Actually, is there a backpack? I'm gonna need a backpack very soon. Backpack. Oh yeah, backpack. SP. Recipe. Yeah. Rabbit hide, iron, and string. Oh, there's backpack shelves. That's cool. What if I look up sack? Flax. I cannot get flax at the moment. Okay. So if we find any rabbits, we gotta absolutely murk them so we can get a backpack. Luckily, we're in one of the best areas for it. Blueprint table. Okay. I don't know what to make of these. Whoa! They're so cute! Oh! I'm so sorry, ma'am. I saw the hearts in the corner, but I didn't register that they were alive. So I just beat a man for no reason, other than my own amusement. Whoops. Okay, let's keep ransacking this place. Whoa! Okay, that's an excess of shovels. I mean, I'll use them, but damn. Calm down. Take a chill pill, please. I'm probably gonna have to leave stuff here. Whoa, oceanographer. Oh, that's cool. I like you. So that does confirm that they have different jobs. Oh, kelp. Huh. Okay. I'm gonna make a double chest using these. And I'm gonna throw a bunch of the stuff I don't immediately need in here. I'll come back for it. Let's keep this on me. I doubt I'm gonna need a shovel immediately. So I'll leave that here. I'll keep the animal dictionary on me just in case. Is there more to this place? Kitty. Oh, Kibdi. Hello. Okay. Let's mark this place. Wait, waypoint. We'll call it Muskeg. Until we know otherwise. Muskeg deserves like a bright. Yeah, because of all the ice. A minute from home, but I feel so far from it. The death of my love. It's all rushing over me. I'm angry again. The things that I lost here, the people I knew, to be surrounded for a mile or two. That's very cool that the thin ice breaks when you jump on it. That's really fucking sick. Back between villages, and everything's still... Actually, I can pick up a mini melon and see what it's used for. Oh, okay. So when I pick it up, it doesn't break. But I can throw it in my crafting table, or in my crafting interface, and change it into actual melons. That's cool. Raccoons! Oh my goodness. Hello. I remember, we had a, like, for fun SMP, which doesn't happen a lot with me. Usually I have just the lore SMPs. But we had this SMP for fun, and it had a bunch of mods on it. And one of them was Alex's mobs, and I had a pet raccoon, a pet crow, something else, I think. They weren't actually pets. Like, you couldn't make them actually pets. But I named them and stuck them in my house. And never let them free. Oh, I had a raccoon, a turtle, a crow, and something else. That was all the mods. All the mods 8, I think. The only downside was that it was like so many mods for my server that it was pretty laggy all the time. When I was like leaving my house, it got crazy laggy. Actually, if I look on the minimap, can I see... I can... Is that somewhere I've been before? What's that? Oh, a spider nest. Whoa! What is this? Yeah, give me a temporary waypoint there, please. I'm going there. I don't even care if it's in the opposite direction. I want to see what the fuck that is. What the shit? Wait. Fuck, I don't have raccoon grapes on me. I have to grab them. I want to see if they like these. Do you like these? Yeah? Here you go. Are you gonna love me now? It's very cool that they picked they picked the berries. Yeah! There you go. Have all the raccoon berries, my man. Alright, I gotta go. But I love you. Oh, shit. Is that a baby? No, it's not. It just looked like a baby from the back. Adult in the front, baby in the back. Oh, baby bison. You're not gonna get pissed at me for coming by, right? You're not gonna get mad? I promise I'm not going after your baby. I'm just running by. Swearsies. Okay, so we're coming up on it. Whoa, moose. Meese. Misses. What? What is that? I mean, I know what those guys are, I think. But what is this? I went in the right direction, I think. Ooh, okay. So let's get rid of this temporary waypoint. And we're gonna make a waypoint. Dot. Dungeon. Nope. Dungeon slash. And we're gonna also color it like a blue because it's in the snow. But a different blue. Let's head this way. I can't tell what that is, and I don't think this added Optifine. So I can't zoom. Alright, let's check out this shit. Different pack. I did CottageCraft though. But this one, I don't know about CottageCraft, but then this one is supposed to have a good balance between like the CottageCore aspects and the frog, bug. Ah, he smacked me. But it's supposed to have a good balance of the CottageCore aspects of the game, or of the mod pack, and the like adventure. Maple Woods. This is so far the best area I've come across, which isn't saying much considering I've been almost entirely surrounded by snow until now. This doesn't look any different than oak, so I'm just gonna assume that this is oak but with maple leaves. So we're not gonna chop any of these down. Oh, these are so fucking pretty. I'm getting like cute aggression over flowers. Like, my brain just doesn't know how to handle this right now. Oh, another grizzly bear. Oh, with a baby! Don't get mad at me. I'm just walking by, sir. Ma'am. Person. No, you're not a person. Bear. Ooh. Oh! Whoa, what's that? What is that? I think I want to live over here. This is like the perfect area, no? Ouchie. I'm good. I only got hurt once, and it was because I didn't care where I fell. Oh, and there's chickens. Oh my gosh, and the chickens look different. They have different colors. Oh my god. Losing my marbles. I'm gonna have to go back and get that forester guy. Or the, like, forester table or whatever the fuck. What is this? There's, like, something over there. Stuff over here. But I want to get that forester table to see if maybe I can get, like, different wood types, potentially. Because it's like a little ways away. How far is it? Yeah, because it's like 650 meters, 650 blocks. I'm gonna steal these. I think I'm going to move the villagers over here, probably. Is that an... What is that? Is that beaver? Gosh, I think that's a beaver. Bro. What is this? Whoop. I didn't piss someone off, did I? So this is a spider nest. Zooey mama, bro. I'm gonna put the powered rails back. Let's backtrack. Yeah, there's more down there. But I don't want to go exploring and potentially lose my shit, so. Is this more of it? Or is this... No, I think this is separate thing. Sprout. Okay, Crow, stop splashing in the water. I can hear you. Anyway, let's find a spot that we can call ours. And then we can get to work on making it a home. Tasted sweeter with you. I kind of like over there. Let's go check that out. I fell in the raccoon. Berries. What's that? I kind of like this little area. It's cute. And then we can like... I don't know if this cave is any good, but we can like make little cave entrances. What are these? See these? There's like... Whoa, is that lava right there? Hold the fucking phone. How is it not going any further than this? Oh, what is that? I hatched him. And I'm still July, but do you remember August, honey? We could actually... I'm torn. I like this area, but I don't know how I feel about the fact that it's like almost entirely covered by hills and mountains and stuff. So we might go back over there. You know what? We're gonna live over there. I have spoken. So it must be. Okay. Pink snapdragon. Oh, we can make a little bridge here if we want. Maybe. I don't know if I'll want to, but maybe. Yeah, right here. Right here. In the midst of all these flowers that I'm gonna have to get rid of. Right here. That way we're far enough away from the, like, spider nest in there. But we also have, like, plenty of room to build. So, I like this. Alright, let's hit the hay so that nothing spawns in our new little area. Are we... What is that? Are we sleeping or what's going on here? Ah! Jesus. Hitting that guy was a pain in the ass. Oh, I have flax seeds. So I can make a sack if I want to. I don't know how I go to sleep. Do I just get back in bed? Oh! Oh my god. It literally says it. It says space to start sleeping. We're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk about it. We're just gonna ignore that. Ooh, I like that. Woo, 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 woo. Look at him fucking go! Oh, go crazy, go stupid! Sorry, I like bees. I'm so excited about this. Like, this is so fucking cool. We need another chest. It's gonna be a separate chest. We're gonna have a lot of those. Okay. I don't need that with me. Let your body be. I'm gonna have to go back over to the mines and get some cobblestone to make the furnace. I'm definitely going to be using some of these at the very least. Whoa. Okay. I'm probably going to have us living in a shack to begin with, but we will have our cottage, okay? It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Like, it's just a matter of finding a cottage design that I like, because I have never built a cottage before. So, we'll see. Is this a cave? Is this like a good cave? I hope so. No, it's not. I don't think. It goes down. I could, if I really want there to be a good cave right nearby so I can make a little, like, cave entrance. Make it all cute. Let's see what this is like. We're gonna have to go get those shovels. Oh my gosh, my nose itches. Is there anything I can use copper for? No. Well, that is raw copper, so let me look up copper ingots. I know we have... Ooh, copper lanterns? Bro, I'm 100% putting like copper lanterns and shit in the mine. That's so fucking cool. Copper wind chime? Copper doors. Chainmail. Oh, copper chest plates. Is that copper apple? It is a copper apple. What? Enchanted copper apple. Wood to copper chest upgrade. Copper wire. What do you use copper wire for? Hummingbird feeder. Copper wrench used to rotate blocks. Copper barrel. Locksmith table. Spyglass. Wrench. A kettle. Oh my gosh, lock and key? Bro. Coppered lodestone. Turntable. Grappling squawk. Okay. And then, oh, a collar tag. Sorry, I'm freaking out. Literally losing my mind over this. Sweet in breath and her tongue so mean. She's the angel of small death and Alright, let's check out this direction. This is turning into a potentially good cave. I'm happy. Just so it's all lit up. Crow, what are you doing down here? This is no place for you. Whoa. Casually just almost passed by some iron. Ow. I'm gonna... no. I was gonna say I'm gonna leave the coal, but I'll take it. Better to get it now than have to go get it later. I'm gonna need a bunch anyway for smelting stuff and making torches and things like that, so. There we go. I'll pour water. Okay, some more cobble. I almost called it cobble. Oh, it's a blue jay that's screaming. Why are you down here, blue jay? Oh, there's a fox on the map. See that? Why are you on the map, Foxy baby? What are you doing down here? Okay. Okay. Alright, it all connects back to over here. Alright, nothing down there. Go down here. This is getting very maze-like. I don't know how I feel about this. We're gonna backtrack. Oh, whoa! Devil's Fingers fungus. Space red dye. I don't know what any of that is, so. Cool though. I don't know that I. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're in the spider nest now. Let's back it up. I just want to, like, clear out all of the dead ends before I commit to going down a direction that's not a dead end, you know? I might kill my... I might kill my... I still love him though. Rather be in jail than alone. Just gonna plop that down. Because I don't want it. Ooh, okay, that also goes down into it. Gotcha. Oh, and there's the spider's nest. Or the spider egg. Okay. So we have two different ways to go down into the spider nest. This one seems more direct. I want to find my way out so I can start marking the direction. Okay, cool. Cool. Oh, hiccup. let's head up, smelt what we have. Jesus! And, throw the rest of our stuff in the chest. Alright, I also have to smelt these iron. That is how you do this, right? You smelt these? Admittedly, it's been a while since I've run into iron in raw block form. What do you use a safety net for? Doesn't tell me. What's use it for? Rope arrow. I'll have to look into some of these like individual mods. Let's see what comes up. So that's not how you do that. Oh no, it is. What the fuck? Does it take longer? Oh, it does. Okay. Whoa, and you can click that to see recipes? Hot. Oh, stalker. What the fuck is a stalker? Yeah, I dislike the sound of a stalker. Okay, we need more wood. Boom, and just like that, all that bush gone. The sheep was singing too. Okay. I have no idea how many this is gonna take, so I'll just throw a bunch in there. Use the rest of that for more torches. And then I didn't think about this, so some signs to navigate down in the mine. It's just this way. There's an opening there. It looks like it's getting light. Okay, that's west. Let's head back up and see if we can find that opening. This way. What do you? Oh my gosh, it's an otter! Ah! Is this how you do this? Oh my goodness. Dragonfly armor, koi fish, pearl necklaces, bucket of Dumbo octopus. Oh, I want koi fish and a sea bunny. Oh my goodness. I don't know where that opening is, so we might just have to say fuck it and drop in. Are those koi? They look like they might be. Oh my god, and I think that's a duck! I think that's a duck! It's a grebe. I don't know what that is. Oh my gosh, it's a turtle! It's a terrapin! Oh my god, and koi fish. What'd you do to me? Oh, I got good luck. Yay. Did the koi fish give me good luck? Or did the terrapin? I'd be okay with either. It's a blessing. Yeah, I have no idea where that opening is, so I'm going to have to just wing it. There we are. Oh, there's the fox. Omer. Home. Let's make it like a... Yeah. A cute lime green. Okay. Back down we go. Let me bring some of these blocks actually so I can build down. Hmm. Oh. He burnt. Okay. I have no idea if these like trigger or if I have to break them for them to do their shit. So I'm gonna just keep a distance as best I can. Okay. We're gonna have an iron set so soon. Call me Iron Daddy. I'm not gonna bother with the coal at the moment. I hear him. Oh! It shows him on the minimap. He's in there somewhere. Slapping away. Oh, there he is. Plus a creeper. I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I don't know what that purple is, but I'm curious. Curious and curious. Ah! You spooked me. Okay. Is everything in this little pocket? Oh, shit. Got him. Got myself as well. Oopsies. There we go. Okay. Oh. It seems like as long as you don't break the actual eggs, you're fine. Violet coral fungus, violet mushrooms. Light blue pixie's parasol. There is so much to this place. This is definitely a good mine, I feel like. Even if it doesn't go down to, like, get the shit that we really, really want, like diamonds or whatever, we could do that ourselves. This is where I dug down, I think. Yeah. Alright. Actually, here. Spider nest. There isn't a downward arrow thing, so that's the best I can do. Hello, crow. That's hot. I still have to check that out. I thought for a second that what's it do? Oh, I thought for a second that I destroyed that tree for the bees, but we're good. Okay. We need one more. Whoa. Flowering. What? Ah! Bro! Fresh apples! I wonder if I combine apple slices. Wait. Oh, it's a creatures and beasts thing. That's cool. Okay. We're gonna make a door. And yeah, we're gonna make some trapdoors. There we go. I don't like that actually because it's not on center. There we go. Boom. Now we have a cute little temporary house. Oh, whoa. There's in-game voice? Bro, what the fuck? This would be really cute to play with others. I'm tempted. Okay. So, can you lead villagers? That's a question. Can you lead a villager? You can put them in a boat or a minecart. Both are gonna take forever. So I guess we'll just have to travel there for now, and then when I make a villager hall, we'll start moving them. But for now, we are not ready to house them, so. Sorry about that, I was taking off my watch. Sorry, I thought I saw something pop up on my laptop. Okay. That's not enough, I don't think. There you go. Look at that. It's beautiful. Ooh, actually. Not that we can light it yet, but the idea. The principle of the thing. Okay. Let's go visit these villagers. First, I want to check out this house, actually. And I don't need to say a single word, 'cause you got me howling. Even if jokes are funny, my tongue tied up, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me howling, howling. Cause you got me howling. My tongue tied up, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me howling, howling. Is this another village? Did he just go, uh-huh? Thank you for the confirmation, villager. I appreciate it. This place is pretty. Bro. Oh my gosh, and they have dogs. Oh! Okay, okay, okay. Fuck, there's more! There's more! What? 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 Yes! Bro! Oh my gosh, and I got a bundle. A totem of illusion? Whoa! Yo, they look so pretty. I want them. Is it just a regular villager upstairs? Please tell me yes. I'm gonna eat just in case. Okay, there's no one up here. Interesting. Oh, there's paintings. I want these just in case I can get something nice. I hear you, doggies. I'm gonna get you. I have very few bones back at my little shack, so I apologize if it takes me a while to get you. Ooh, yes. This is sexy. Is there anything I can use these cobwebs for? The banner pattern. Oh, you can use them in alchemy. Okay, I guess I'll keep them for the alchemy just in case they're useful. I'm gonna take these barrels as well. I hear you, but I do not know where you are. Let's see, I take these. The more pots and things, the better. Oof, it is cramped up here. Where is he? He's not underneath the house, is he? He's not on the roof? Whoa! They were keeping you trapped down there, bud? How do I get down there? Is there something inside that's covering it? No. Oh wait, maybe. No. Oh! Oh! What? Oh my god, they really were keeping him in here. Oh my god. They had this man in a jail! This reminds me of the guy in Red Dead Redemption 2 that you can find locked up in a jail cell. I know, very interesting, my man. Alright. So this is cool. If he stays here, then we have the possibility of having this guy that we can bring back. Fuck, I don't know. Leather, I guess. No? There we go. And then... Okay. Okay, I don't need the carpet. I need the crafting table. Apparently we cannot give him the potions. My bundle is a he. I don't know what the usage. It doesn't say. I'm assuming it does the same thing for him as it did for me. But I don't know. Hold left alt. Huh. Increase damage by arrows. Okay, wait. Oh, okay. I thought I could edit it. I was like, that's cool, but we can't. That's so sick. Now I have a bundle. I can carry my belongings. Is there anything else over here we should check out? I'm assuming that's just pumpkins. Looks like just lava. Oh. No temporary waypoint on there. That looks cool. I don't know how many temporary waypoints I can do at a time, though. So we'll have to leave it for now. Alright. On to Muskeg. Hello, bear. Please don't smack me. I think they're okay with you as long as you don't get too close. Like, right up next to them and hang out there, you know? That seems to be the case. That was so close to being bad. What are these? Fur. What does this look like? Ah. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'll keep it in mind. That's a snow leopard. And there's a bunch of cow corpses all around it. Better not be following me. Chickens. Chickens. Whippy menu. That's the only, like, alternative wood I've seen so far. Just a little bit of a bummer, but... What's this? Deadlog. Let's see what Deadlog's about. Okay. There's someone over there. Yeah, we're back. Hello, Muskree. I forgot its name for a minute and had to make something up. Oh, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Those are literal dookie, my man. Actually, I have my own villager I could use these on. Okay. I feel bad if I keep hitting this guy in particular, but I was trying to break him and pick him up, if possible. Your trades are kind of dookie, my man. This is where I've got my stuff. Hello. I'm taking your table. I almost forgot I had stuff here. A gardening table. Ambrosia? Whoa. Whoa, come. How many do you need? 2? I only have 1. I don't think I could use dried kelp for anything, so. Oh. Oh, kelp rolls. That's cool. Seed pouch. I know there's a crafting table in there somewhere. I'm just gonna pick it up. Yes, there it is. Okay. Bring to me your sons and daughters, 'cause absinthe makes the heart grow fonder. I don't care what mama says, you wind me up or you wind up dead. I'm trying to collect all this stuff as if it makes sense to do so, but it does not. I'll just leave stuff here again. I'll bring some of it home, but I don't need the potions immediately, so I can get rid of you. I don't need the bell. Soon you'll be a dead man walking. I don't need the book or that. The smoker I could use. Chuck the rice in there. Cauldron. We don't need that. Chuck it in the bucket and move on. Oh, that also makes a gardening table. Okay, okay. Woo! Nice. Okay. Okay, okay. Alright. Whoa, calm down. Okay. Whoa, bro! What is that? Enchanted redstone apple. A true redstone engineer. Ooh, lily pads. Rope. Raw flesh. Some more cabbage seeds. A saddle. Ooh, I could combine this bow and this bow, and I'll add power one and breaking one. Oh, hiccups. Okay. That was weird. Okay, anyway. Kinda wanna eat this. Okay, just weakness. When the stew is sus. Oh, what's that? Whoa. There's nothing here, right? No. Doesn't look like it. It's cool, though. What's this? Huh. Yo. These are so cool. Finding all sorts of shit on our way back home. Got him. I'm gonna check out this thing. Highland. Right, we're gonna stop at the house, we're gonna drop off all our shit, and then we're go. Okay. And then we're gonna get going over to that mystery area over there. Tell me. It's not mine. We got a secret lover. Okay, I don't think if I find any more cabbage seeds, I don't think I'm gonna take them. Just because at this point it'd be kind of stupid. Okay. Pills and potions, we're overdosing. I'm angry, but I still love you. Pills and potions, we're overdosing. Can't stand it, but I still love you. Ow. Okay. Should I keep a bundle on me? I only need one of these on me, so... It's nighttime, I think. It's getting close. Okay. How close is it? 400. I could probably do it. Let's go for it, I guess. I don't even know what this is. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but... What can I say? I like exploring. This also might just be nothing. Like, that is very much a possibility right now. We're halfway there. Raccoons. Ooh. What are those, lily pads? Alright. We're nearing it. Oh god. It's you. fuck. I lost him. Fuck. Let me go. Fuck. Dude. Ugh. Okay. Hopefully my stuff will be okay if I go to sleep. It's fine if it isn't. I don't have anything crazy, but like... Damn. Okay. Let's go. It's gonna be tough fighting these guys without anything, but... I was gonna say, actually, I can teleport there, but I can't because I did not put on cheats. Cranberries! Yeah, I think I ran into berries at one point and got stuck while they were fighting me. Not that that would have helped. The second I lost the main guy, I was over. Wait. I saw something in the... Is that a bee in the sky? Like a bill? What is that? Are you telling me he only needed one more hit? That is upsetting. Also, my stuff is... Like, look at this. My stuff is just scattered. Is there even anything good here, or did I just get murked for nothing? Is there anything in here? No, I don't think there's anything here. Oh, that's obnoxious. I got my head, though. That's interesting. I want to see these lily pads. If I break these, do I get pretty lily pads, or do I get regular lily pads? Ooh. I love these. Oh my god. I'm not breaking any of these. I'm coming back and getting them another time. Pretty little lilies. Okay. I'm gonna collect some dirt blocks from this general area, and then I'm gonna start building up to that bee. I want to see what that is. No. I thought I had a shovel on me, but I think I put it in the chest. Oh, I also have to get rid of my death point. There we go. Oh. Lag spike. Okay, hopefully this is enough. We'll see. It's probably not, but it's fine. It's over water, or close to water, so we can at least drop in if need be. Yeah, it's like right at the edge of the water, so. Okay. Nope. Damn. I'm sorry I'm kind of quiet. I'm a little sleepy. I was at a graduation party from like 3 to 7. Um, or maybe like, no, like 6:30. Um, but or at least 6:30 was when we started leaving. But I was with my family, and my dad likes to chat with people, and he'll be like, "Are you ready to go?" And whoever he's talking to will be like, "Yeah, we're ready when you are." And then he'll like start up another conversation with another person. So we'll end up being there for like another hour. But yeah, we were trying to leave, and they kept striking up conversations with the people he was saying goodbye to. Um, we finally left, but it was just like I was there because the person graduating is someone I care about, but I knew no one there except for my family and his very immediate family, like his parents and vaguely his grandparents. I also knew his siblings, but like his sister's still pretty young. She's like in elementary school, and his brother is I think like a year older than me, but has like never liked me. Don't know why. But I mean that's just kind of who he is. For the most part, he's just like a little bit of an asshole. Like he's never really liked me, so I wouldn't have even dared try to talk to him. We went to the same high school and everything, and that's just always how he's been. He's like, if he doesn't want to talk to you for whatever reason, he'll like mean mug you. So I really had no one there except for my family. Um, so I just spent the entire time talking with my sister, and then we were like watching TikToks and watching YouTube, and then we were scrolling through AliExpress, um, just like trying to kill the time. I want to say the best part was probably the cupcakes. My stepmom made cupcakes for the party, and they were phenomenal. They were so good. It was literally just like a regular chocolate cupcake, but then in the middle there were these knockoff knockoff M&Ms, and oh, they were so good. Is there nothing to this? This is definitely playing my regular playlist now, because there's no way this is in my soft boy playlist. Yeah, no. It's playing my regular playlist now. Okay, so there's nothing up here. So this was a waste. It's okay. Yeah, that. I want to check that out. Ooh. Right to the bottom. Damn. What's going on over here? Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I don't have my food. What happened to my food? Did I eat the rest of it, or what happened? Okay, well, we're gonna go down here, and we're gonna hope that we don't get absolutely wrecked. Because if we do, I don't have anything to help myself. Whoa, what's this? Set foot in a catacomb? What? Wild. Okay. We're gonna have to come back here. Let me mark this. Catacomb. But like a yellow. Okay. Let's head back to the house because it's getting close to the end of stream. I know we didn't really do much, but a lot of this was like just exploring, seeing what things were like. So we'll definitely have more opportunities to get going on things, build, stuff like that. Off stream, I'm going to look into... Oh. Anyway. I didn't mean to place those. After stream, I'm going to look into the mods and get a better idea of what this mod pack is like. As far as, like, specifics, you know? Look into... Because I know there's more... I mean, we saw the collar tags. But I remember there's more to the dogs. Like, you can give them enchantments and stuff, I think. But I want to look into the specifics of what a lot of the mods do. Because there were just so many, and overall I liked the idea of the entire pack as a whole. So I just grabbed it, but I didn't think to deep dive into the mods individually. Fuck. That's okay. I don't expect that I'm gonna die before I get home, so... Actually, curious. Okay. I was hoping for maybe like a little bit more detail, but that's fine. No, this is part of our nails. What about this? No. I'm pretty sure the tan turkey tail mushroom things were glowing at night. So that's something. I'll also look into some cottage build ideas. So I can start on that. I want to bring that guy down here. I know he's not far, but I want to bring him down here. Plus he's in like the best spot. I just fall off the hill with him and boom, I'm here. You know. Okay. That's it. We're here. All right. So, it is 10:30, which means it is